Hi, I'm Andrew Kirsch, co-founder of Sklar Kirsch. On this podcast, I interview industry leaders. You'll hear their real-time opinions on today's market, their background, unique career highlights, and guidance for newcomers to the industry. This is the Kirsch Connection. Welcome to another edition of the Kirsch Connection. Not just any episode, but our 100th episode from Real Talk to the Kirsch Connection. And to commemorate the 100th episode, I have David Schwartzman. He was my guest for episode number 1. And to go for full circle, I thought it would be apropos to have him be my guest for episode 100. Episode 1 aired in November of 2022, 3.5 years ago. We talk about the changes in the market, the changes in the real estate industry over these past 3.5 years. Now, before we get to my episode with David, I want to thank all my listeners, all my supporters for making this podcast such a great endeavor. I truly love putting out these podcasts, and I am so grateful for all my listeners, all my viewers, and all the supporters for initially Real Talk and now the Kirsch Connection. So thank you. And without further ado, here's episode 100 with David Schwartzman. Welcome to a special edition of the Kirsch Connection, episode 100. And to commemorate this distinction, I guess, this celebration, David Schwartzman, the founder of Harridge Development, comes back onto the show. David, you were my first podcast on November 9th, 2022.
I remember that.
I hope you do. It
Yes,
was 3.5 years ago.
From my office. You've moved up in the world. You have your own studio now.
I would say of the 100 episodes, well, I guess the 99 episodes prior to this one, the one episode that I get the most feedback still 3.5 years later is someone other than David. No, I'm just kidding. Is the David Schwartzman episode.
Well, I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe you got to question who's watching your podcast.
Probably just a couple of people. So I wanted to see what life was like on November 9th, 2022. The presidential election had just occurred. So Donald Trump just...
No, 22, no.
Oh, that was... You're right, that was 24. You're right. You're right.
Midterms.
Sarah, I've got my notes.
Well, you got to get your facts straight, yeah.
So Biden was president.
Yes.
Garcetti was still...
He was out, though.
Mayor Karen Bass had just gotten elected. Guess what the Dow Jones was at in November of 2022?
30,000.
Yeah, 32,513. Today it's 51,000.
51,000.
The NASDAQ
was probably 14,000, 15,000.
10,000.
Oh, my God.
Now it's 27,000.
Yes.
The 10-year Treasury
was low.
Not that low, 412.
That's interesting because the prime rate hadn't really moved yet. In fact, because I remember we were closing a deal, and the day we were closing, Russia invaded Ukraine. And I was like, oh, shit, we were in IC on the deal. And I was like, if this thing gets approved, it's amazing. But everyone thought Russia was going to run over Ukraine in 2 days. And 4 years later, we're still here.
We actually recorded a podcast on the eve of COVID that never got published. Do you remember coming into my office? We recorded on my laptop. And it was...
Oh, yeah.
It was just...
In Century City across... Yes. I do... That never recorded?
Well, we recorded it, but we never published it.
We could release that one as well. See how accurate we are, yeah.
So it's technically the third podcast. And in that first podcast, we should hear...
That was before you even did the podcast.
Correct.
Yeah, that was like... that was like the start of COVID.
It was March of 2020.
Nobody was there.
And you said, this is going to be just a little blip. It is nothing.
I missed on that one. Yeah.
Nothing compared to the GFC. We're going to be back in the office like in days.
Well, I still think the financial impact is nothing like the GFC. I would actually stand on that point. I think the difference between the GFC and this is COVID changed how people live and changed the world and changed certain industries. But I don't think the financial distress that happened in the GFC has happened in this cycle. I mean, I think we're actually we're still kicking the can on a lot of distress, is what I see. So I think there's still more to come.
Look, We talked about your background extensively.
Yes.
And you're very public with
Absolutely.
the highs and lows, and we'll get into some of that. But this podcast is not to recap the David Schwartzman history
It's
here.
just go on moving forward.
But you were comparing today versus the GFC,
Yes.
let's say. And during those days, a week could not go by with a client of mine saying, hey, Andrew, I've got an opportunity to buy a portfolio of loans at an incredible discount. Just make sure there's no nuclear missiles in the purchase agreement.
This is during the GFC.
During the GFC.
Yeah.
And it's just like banks just getting rid of their inventory. We're not really seeing that at all.
No, banks are not as distressed, but when they try to get rid of their inventory, they get the bids they don't like, they sort of pull it off. So their earnings are so good, they can cover up and not take the loan losses yet. That being said, though, you are starting to see cracks in certain sectors. An example, obviously, to talk about is look at Radford Studios, CBS Radford. I mean, that's $2 billion to $400 million. And by the way, I'm not sure that's a done deal yet, by the way. I'm not sure that's as done as what the street is reporting on that. And I could see that actually potentially being reset again. So I'm not sure that's actually a done deal. But I think you are seeing some distress, but not like 2008 because there's liquidity. There's lenders still lending. There's equity still investing, although equity has gotten squeamish, I would say.
I would say
it's still out there, but it's gotten harder.
I would say in the last 45 days, equity has gotten squeamish and pulled back.
Yes.
I think because we all thought this war in Iran would be over within a few weeks, and now we're several months in, and
I think the problem with that is we needed to go in there and fucking do it the first time right. And we've sort of done it half-assed, and we sometimes need to remind people who we are. And I think we probably should have hit them harder instead of like titter-tat. And like, I mean, I don't think we're really getting inflicted real losses. I just think they're disrupting the Strait of Hormuz. But I think, listen, we can sink their ships. We can do this. I think, and I'm not saying putting boots on the ground, but I think maybe a little more shock and awe bombing, like similar to like the U.S. Iraq when Bush went in, Bush Jr. I mean, I think that potentially could be something to bring these guys to the table faster. You don't know who's leading there. I do think it's going to resolve in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure we might not see a little more military action there. Believe it or not, I could see a skirmish or two more there happening, but I think before the midterms it'll be resolved. Like 2 months before.
Is there a direct correlation or indirect correlation as to what's going on geopolitically to the real estate market?
Horrible. Yes, there's direct correlation. People are afraid on forward planning. I have 3 or 4 different business lines, but my main business line is I'm a land developer. I sell finished lots to public home builders and private home builders. And the home builders have not bought land for a few years now. So their inventories are notoriously low. They should be buying right now rapidly. And there's 1 or 2 that I think are very well capitalized and very strong that are doing it. But I'd say the mid-tier guys are scared of the world. Maybe their Wall Street stock isn't doing as well as some of the other builders, although there's been a huge consolidation in the industry in the last 9 months continuing to happen. Berkshire Hathaway bought a company 2 days ago for $8.5 billion enterprise value. So guys are putting things on hold. They're kicking the can, but eventually they're going to have to buy. And I think that will then cause the next, what I call land rush into the market, because these guys are going to have nothing left to sell. And to meet Wall Street earnings and projections, they have to be selling houses. So they're going to have to buy, and they're all going to have to buy at the same time. It's going to force land values up.
If we did this podcast at the beginning of the year, wouldn't you have assumed that interest rates would have gone down by now?
Yeah, I think they would have actually gone down. I think the war has kept them inflatedly high. I think that's why I think if the war resolves, I think there's about a 30 to 50 bip drop in the 10-year. So the 10-year right now is like 4.45. I think it should be between 4.15 and 4 and 4.15, somewhere in that range. That's where I think it naturally needs to be right now. And now you have a new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, coming in. He is going to lower rates. He is looking at ways.
Do you think he can lower rates, and given what's going on?
Popularity contest between you and me. I think if the war was resolved, I think you could. I think the problem is the war. It's the perception of the war. I think if oil suddenly came down another 15, 20%, which I think it would with the alleviation of the war, I think then you'd have a clear path to start doing that. People are hurting. I mean, there's two economies in the world. There's the AI tech la economy, and then there's the real world. And I think what I am most scared of is the effects of AI, because I don't know. I always think of the movie Terminator, and I wonder if that's
the original Terminator.
The original Terminator,
Yeah.
and like, is that where we're coming between the AI and then the robots coming on? So, I mean, I am concerned. I really worry about my kids and like, what are they going to do? And yes, there's going to certain industries reinvent, but to me, it's scary. I mean, there's some real scary things out there that I've never really imagined before about AI.
Well, real estate, construction, everyone needs a place to live.
Yes.
And do you think, I mean, you work so much in home building, land development.
And multifamily as well.
Can people afford to buy a house today based on where pricing and yields on interest rates are?
Yeah, I'll tell you why they can, because what's going on is, like in Los Angeles County, if you want to buy a new house, you can get an FHA loan. So an FHA loan, I think the lending limit, the last I checked, is $1,187,000. It'll go up again in June. It usually goes up 3% a year. It's going to go to like $1,225,000. So with 3% down, that's your loan amount. A million would be, let's say, $1,200,000. So you can buy a $1,250,000 house. You put $35,000 down. Okay, you go out and buy the house. Then the builder, if it's a new home builder, they do what's called a mortgage buy down. So they buy down your rate. They can artificially, for 6% of the sale price of the house, they can buy down your rate about 75 bips. So if we could get into a 5 handle on the 30-year, which I think at a 4% rate, we get into the 5s again, then basically you're at a low 5.25% rate, and now on $1,200,000, your IO is about $60,000 a year. You're buying a 2,000 square foot house, detached house. That's on a rental basis, $230, $240 a foot. You can't rent for that. So I think buying makes sense. I think buying is the only thing that actually makes sense right now, more than anything.
In certain markets, all markets?
Well, here's the problem. If you're in certain markets that are, let's say, very affordable, the problem with the multi, unless you're building garden apartments, is podium construction is just so expensive. It's just really hard to make that pencil. So you need very high rents to support that construction, even if the land is free. If you're building a podium and it's costing you $300, $340 a net rentable foot, I mean, just the money with the impact fees and the soft costs, forget any value to the land. Your rents have to be like a $3.50, $3.75 rent on a per square foot for a normal apartment. That's with no value to the land. A lot of markets don't have that rent to start.
Well, I feel like there's just no equity for ground up construction on multifamily.
I don't think there is. And I think what's going to change that is you're going to have a point where nobody's building. And you're going to have new product coming out. And it's not just affordable because, like, yeah, ED1 is great, but not everybody's going to live in ED1. I mean, there's a lot of people, the majority of people aren't ED1, and they need to live in other kinds of housing in LA, and there's no market rate housing left. So people want to live in newer product. It's going to push up the value of that product.
In case my...
Very contrarian here.
Yeah, in case my audience doesn't know what ED1 is, you want to explain?
Yeah, it's the Mayor Bass did an initiative to open up zoning to build more affordable housing in Los Angeles. So the entitlements have gotten much easier. I mean, there have been a lot of state laws that have made a lot of things easier. It's getting money to understand it. And even if it's gotten easier, you still have to know people how to implement it. I see several people, I mean, I've always done my own entitlements. I've been doing it for too long, 33 years, my own entitlements. And I see a lot of people say, oh, I can do that. I'll hire the lawyer and I'll do this. And they know all the laws, but they don't know maybe how to design the product. They don't know how to then actually, like, if they're doing a for sale deal, the home builder a lot of time wants you to actually put in the infrastructure. There's a lot of quasi-developers out there that buy stuff and title it, but they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know how to actually put in the infrastructure. They don't know how to design the site properly to make it work. I get called by people all the time that have sites they've entitled and are asking me questions. Them and maybe it's their son is in the business and they have their opinions. And like, guys, you got an entitlement, but functionally that design doesn't work for the end user, the builder.
What is the state of entitlements, of the ability to get projects approved both in Los Angeles and other surrounding communities?
Well, I think it's gotten much easier. There's been a lot of state legislation in the last year. There's AB 130, which if you're under 20 acres and you're zoned and you have no kind of environmental impacts or historic resources and you have proper zoning, you can get exemptions on CEQA. So I think that's incredible. That gets you out of a lot of the public hearing process. You still have a public hearing to do your track map, but it's gotten to be a much more condensed, easier process to get done. So I think that has helped things. There's AB 2011, there's like 7 or 8 different laws that I talk about for sale. There's also stuff that does for multifamily. I mean, a lot of people go and use these laws where they get exempted from CEQA, but they have to build at prevailing wage, which means they have to build with union, quasi, and it sounds great, but that financially doesn't work because that ups your cost 20 to 25%. And when you're building, especially a multifamily deal, it's tight to start with no land value. Adding 20, 25% to your costs through that law is worse. If you're doing for sale, the union contractors are not cost effective on the for sale product. So it's we have a problem. We're creating all these laws, but we haven't figured out how to create the housing. You know what I'm saying? We have all these laws that are great that work to make a lot of sense.
So where's the impediment? Is it the capital markets? Is it demand? What is it?
Well, the problem is I think Sacramento has problems. They pass laws and they want to do housing. And listen, Gavin Newsom can say what you want. He has tried to help the housing industry, but the problem is when you're too tied to labor, you're helping it, but you're hurting it because you're putting strings on the housing that's attached to the labor, and it's hard to make sense. Why does an affordable housing unit in Los Angeles cost $900,000 a unit to build with no value to the land? I could build that with non-prevailing wage for hard cost for 45% of that number, 40% of that number.
So what? I don't understand. Everybody seems to talk about this issue.
It's a system. Everybody's feeding off everybody. Everybody's marking off. All the affordable developers, they've got their 15% fee structures in, and then this contractor's jacking the fees up. And then they have these union agreements where the unions sit and they go, the union sits there and they say, okay, you 5 guys bid this job. They tell them we're bidding it, and the 5 guys get together and they bid rig. I mean, it's really, it doesn't cost as much as these guys say. And yes, the materials have gone up, but not like some of the costs have.
Have you seen a pullback in cost of materials since?
I was starting to see a real pullback till the Iran.
Yeah.
Oh, the war started. I mean, we were starting to see real pullback. I think costs have not gone up in the last 12 months. We were actually looking to be down about 10%. And because of the petroleum and a lot of the construction materials are based on the prices of petroleum, like drywall, glass, concrete, all key off the petroleum markets and the cost. So that has inflated those costs where they were naturally dropping, they sort of held.
And so when you talk to union leaders, I mean, they are just narrowly with blinders on looking at all they care about is
their benefit packages.
That's it.
That's it.
Even though in the long run, their constituents are worse off because the state of housing in LA County.
They're not worse off. And to their defense, their constituents are the guys that are paying their dues. They need to get jobs. So they're not getting as much jobs because there's not high-rise construction going right now. Type 3 multi, like I'll give you an example, like what's the law, the bus transit that everybody uses, you know what I'm talking about, that came in with JJJ. It was, so the unions don't like that because now you can get all these bonus densities being next to transit under city law. Whereas the unions used to say, oh, I want to go from a 1.5 FAR to a 3 FAR. The union could show up at my hearing, strong arm me, threaten to sue me make a deal with them. Now I can get around them through certain development incentives. They don't like that. So in some ways, they've lost power by some of the laws.
Why don't they like it?
Because they can't stop your project now. Your project's now as of right. And they don't like that. They used to, generally, they always say, oh, our workmanship is better. We're so much faster. Listen, dude, you can find very good subs that are non-union, okay? And I'm not saying, and you can find union subs that do good work, but if you bid them properly, if it goes through where the union's running the bid and doing this, I don't think you get a fair bid. I have used union contractors. I've used union framers. I've used union concrete. I do most of my infrastructure work on my subdivisions with prevailing wage because I issue bonds against my work. So I can actually, in a perfect world, a prevailing wage guy to a non-prevailing wage guy is probably a 10 to 12% difference, which it's a difference, but it's not the end of the world. But when it's how the bids are administered and how everything's done, it becomes a 40% difference. And that's where it suddenly goes, okay, now I can't build the project, which is now causing your problem.
But they don't believe that, the unions.
They know it though, but it's what they're selling the public. Again, because when they go to the politicians, they're very influential. And they tell the politicians certain things. The politicians go, oh, it doesn't cost that much. And they go, yeah, it does. And if I could administer the bid process, it would be much cheaper, or the developer, versus where they try to run the bid process.
All right, so we're recording on June 2nd.
Yes.
Election day.
Yes.
We'll probably release this podcast next week,
Okay.
week of probably June, probably on June 9th.
Maybe we'll have the results by then.
Maybe, right?
we don't know.
In LA County,
I bet we won't be certified in a week. There's no way.
We won't know tonight who the final two, the runoffs are. All right.
No, for mayor, there's a lot of elections besides the mayor.
By the way, you see the ballot, the number of people running for governor. I'm
insane.
surprised you're not running, David.
No,
there were 41 people running for governor. It was like
insane.
a novel to open that ballot up.
It's crazy.
All right, you live in the city of Beverly Hills. You can't vote for
I cannot vote.
mayor.
I cannot vote.
Nor
for
can you vote for city council.
I cannot vote for city council.
Are you willing to offer a prediction, or what is the commentary you want to discuss?
Several things. I think the mayor's race is going to be a runoff. There's no one's going to win it outright. I think it's going to be Mayor Bass against Spencer Pratt.
I agree.
And I think Spencer has more momentum than people think. I think, if anything, he's probably being under-registered in the polls. And I think Mayor Bass has. I think Spencer Pratt said it in the debate when Nithya accused him of wanting to run against Bass and not her, and he's like, looked at her and goes, are you crazy? She's got the union. She's the incumbent. She's the machine. Like, you are just the failed council person. And I think that those were his words. And I think it'll be Bass against Pratt.
There's been a lot of talk among my friends, clients over the last few weeks as to, can you vote for Spencer Pratt? And my response is, how can you vote for the alternative?
Listen, I think you have to step back for a second. I don't think the mayor has the influence that everyone seems to think. I think the more important thing to look at is our city council. Our city council is the real influence. The city council runs the city. The mayor can veto the council. So if there's an 8-7 vote, the mayor can veto it, and I think it takes 12 out of 15 to override a mayor's veto. So the mayor's important, but the city council is more important. And we are at a precipice right now of where we're at. We have seen, in good times, people sort of say, oh, there's not equality, there's not this, and movements like the Democratic Socialists of America come to fruition. And I truly believe that movement, socialism, is the undoing of the United States. I think it is a disaster. I am a capitalist. I am also believe in free speech. I am socially quite liberal, believe it or not. But I am fiscally conservative. In security, safety, I take a conservative tactic. I think our state, our city, we have embraced policies like, what was the policy where if you stole something that was $1,000 or less, you didn't get arrested? You steal, you steal. I'm sorry.
You saw what happened to San Francisco and how it's been turned around by leadership.
Absolutely. And by the way, Mayor Lurie is a very liberal leader, but he said enough is enough and we've got to stop. And you had a council there and a DA there that was a DSA-backed DA, Democratic Social America DA. They got rid of the DA. We got rid of our horrible DA. Gascon, my God, I think the worst person did more damage to LA County, COVID, than Gascon. I think that was but people want to attack Bass. And listen, I'm not getting into the mayor's race as much. You got to look at the council. because you have DSA-backed council people running for office right now that they do not want to have the Olympics here. They want to defund the police. They want to decriminalize everything. They have issues with the owning of private property. They actually want to take over private property and make it basically everything a big commune. They want to make us a welfare society. My wife is a Venezuelan immigrant. 30 years ago, Venezuela was the richest country in South America. I don't know if people know that. It's a disaster today. They have more natural resources. There was a gorgeous Caracas, was like the Paris of South America, and it has become a sewer. Okay, all the Venezuelans now they've fled. They live in Miami. They've come to this country because socialism does not work.
So do you think we've hit rock bottom, that there is going to be a transformation like we've seen in San Francisco? Do we think there's going to be a change and these city council members
I think
will
the
get
city
voted
council
up?
is changing. I do. I think you have several council people that are turned out that maybe they weren't DSA, but they didn't stand up to them either. And I think you're going to elect people. I think you're going to see in the San Fernando Valley, I'm hoping that there's one candidate I think is going to win. And I think he is going to stand up, very pro-business. I think he's going to win. I think you have another councilman in CD9 that's going to go to a runoff, but I think the guy that's going to win there is more of a pro-business and realizes we can't penalize business. We don't want to beat on business. I actually think deep down Mayor Bass is starting to realize that. I don't think Mayor Bass is perfect, but I think she's dealt a lot of bad cards. She had a mayor before, Garcetti, who was horrible. I mean, not that she's been a lot better. I'm noticing council members that they're progressive. They're not socialist, but they're progressive. Realize something has to freaking change. They're starting to come to the realization. I had a meeting last week, and I was sitting in an office, and they were telling me, I go, guys, what do you think's happening here? You're not investable as a city right now because of the leadership. And we're still wanting to put money in the city, but you guys got to change. You got to stop with like, oh, what are we getting? What's the benefit package? Guys, stop it. The benefit is we're going to build in the city and we're going to create jobs. And we're going to give people housing. And instead of the prices exacerbating up, maybe we can, by creating supply, you can bring some normalcy and stability to the market.
But we keep hearing, and I see it when my clients are looking to do projects in LA, and Wall Street has essentially put a red line through LA, and that they will not provide capital for projects, either existing or ground up.
They won't do multi is very tough. I mean, multi is.
But they'll do for sale.
They'll do for sale. Yeah, for sale. Listen, I'm financing a multi-deal right now. It's massive. I don't want to get into too much, but I'm getting it done. But
that project had been entitled.
It was entitled, and there's a whole story there. But we're getting it done. But it has been the hardest, and I've done a few projects in my life. And I look at my career, I've had like 4 or 5, like what I call unreal challenges. Like, wow, like, oh my God, where this was against me, this was against. And this has been probably the last one, but I think it's getting done, but it's tough. It's gotten harder. It's not gotten easier.
Well, have you thought about not doing business in LA or its surrounding cities?
No, I'm looking to do for sale. I'm more bullish on for sale than I ever have been.
So a lot of my clients, during the 2021, 22 timeframe, they were all in on the Sunbelt.
Yeah.
Phoenix, Vegas.
They're going to get destroyed.
They have gotten.
I think there's still more.
San Antonio, Nashville.
They're chasing
Austin.
yield. They're chasing yield. They're chasing the value add story. Listen, I think value add, I've never been a guy that really believes in that per se. I think you have to.
I thought those were the real developers, those that change out toilets.
No, that's toilets and sinks. No, I was involved in something in a meeting once. And they said, "Oh, I'm a developer," and as a developer, and I said to the guy, "You pull out cabinets and switch out toilets in projects. You don't ground up build."
But the question is that I like to ask folks: what keeps you up more at night? The oversupply of the Sunbelt, or the political instability of the coastal markets?
Political instability. I'm not in the Sunbelt. So
I know. Yeah. You aren't, and you've chosen not to.
Yeah.
And you have hunkered down and do
but
all
I'm in
your
the Bay
business.
Area. I'm in the Bay Area in a big way now.
Yep.
I mean, we've got 3 projects up there. We're doing a deal with you're representing. So something we're buying. We got 3 projects up there. We've got we got like 1,700, 1,800 for sale lots in the Bay Area. So I mean, so we're in the Bay Area. We're very hunkered into Ventura County, and we're very hunkered into Los Angeles. We just in the city of LA, for sale, or LA County, I think I have like 2,700, 3,000 single family lots. So and then
But you never thought of going out of California and doing
no,
business?
you're gonna get killed.
Why?
I would do a project in Hawaii. I have like a.
All right, well, that's similar to California.
I know. I want to do Hawaii, and because I don't know. I really think the right thing there can make sense, but I've never actually done it. I've been offered to do deals in Vegas. I've been offered to do deals in Reno, which I love Reno as a market a lot more than I like Vegas. I've been looked at stuff in Arizona, but honestly, I can't make it work. Development has to be natural, has to be there on the boots on the ground. Like I do stuff in Northern California, but I got 3 people that work for me that are based in Northern California. My quasi number 2 lives in Northern California. So,
but you could hire people in these other states.
you got to be there.
Yeah.
You can't do this stuff hiring people. This is not consultant-backed development. And that's what a lot of guys starting out. Oh, I've got the great land use attorney, and I've got the dude. Listen. You better know what you're doing.
You like taking on big projects.
Yes.
You've got,
Several, yeah.
a big one in Hollywood. You've got a big one in
where? Crenshaw,
South, Baldwin Hills. Anyone approach you to take on graffiti towers?
No, that's not something I would do. That's a tough deal. I mean, downtown LA, like, listen, have bought one deal in downtown LA in 30 years, and it was an industrial site. And
that's the LA Times site?
LA Times.
Yeah.
And we bought it, we sold it, we did, it was on our equity, I think it was a 4X on our equity. We kept a little money in the deal. That's probably gone. But I think downtown, I mean, you need some real leadership to come in. I think there are buys there. I mean, assuming the leadership changes. But I don't think you're going to see the bottom there for another 3 to 5 years.
In what asset class? All? But
I think
office.
I think industrial. First of all, industrial, I think will come back.
Okay.
I believe in industrial. Industrial 4 years ago was hot as hell in downtown.
Sure.
So industrial will come back. Office is done. Office is just, it's done in downtown.
You don't think there's any comeback?
I think very limited. I think you might have people that like lawyers that need to be close to the court. Maybe some.
But that has even changed because so many judges allow for virtual appearances.
I know. So, I mean, the world has changed.
A judge doesn't want 100 people in their courtroom.
No. So listen, I think downtown's got real fundamental problems. I think the office market has serious fundamental problems outside of Century City. I mean, Century City is probably the hottest market maybe in the country.
Well, it's Century City, it's New York,
Yep,
it's San Francisco,
and parts of Florida,
and still Miami.
Yeah, but again, so like Miami, I would be nervous about Miami because Miami is historic a boom and bust market, and Miami's play is on New York. So Miami and New York is very inflated right now, both office, residential, rents, and for sale. I think average rents right now in a brand new multi-building in New York, someone told me yesterday, are about $140 a year for a Class A multi. So you're talking $11 rent. So an 800-foot apartment is $8,000 to $9,000 a month rent. Okay, so just think about that for a second. Okay, so you have New York, but then you have a political issue, and people go, "Oh, Mandami, everything's fine. It hasn't changed." Dude, he's been in office 4 months. Okay, give it some time. Miami is now more expensive than Beverly Hills. A high-end home in Miami is more expensive than it's not Beverly Hills, guys. It's not, okay?
But maybe things have changed. I mean, people have moved out of LA.
They haven't. They don't have the infrastructure. I was in Miami for New Year's, and we think we have bad traffic.
I know.
Their traffic's, we look like we're like desolate and nobody's there. Listen, Miami succeeds because New York fails. So they're triggering.
But how can we say New York is failing if it's one of the hottest office markets in the country?
That's why one of them has to give, because they're bubbling. They're both markets are bubbling. I think you'll see New York will give because you see like people like Jamie Dimon. He goes online about how the administration is against business. Like Mandami
with Ken Griffin.
I mean, people are leaving, but Miami is a tax haven. there's not real infrastructure and backbone there to do a lot of what would need to be done to really make it a true world financial center. I still look at Los Angeles. We have a lot of negatives, but we have a lot of pluses. Look how quick San Francisco turned.
But isn't San Francisco different? It's smaller. It has the AI boom.
Yeah.
It is just more concentrated in terms of that downtown is more integrated with luxury housing and in terms of multifamily.
I'm not talking about downtown. I'm talking about the region. I'm talking about the city. I'm not talking the downtown. No, listen, I'm not a proponent of LA's downtown. But listen, LA, LA County is, if we are the largest manufacturing county in the United States. We have the space industry, aerospace, defense. Our defense budget is going from $750 billion a year to $1.5 trillion. Of those delta incremental dollars, that 750 more, I bet you 200 to 300 billion of it is getting spent in LA County. So infrastructure, huge. We have, people say the entertainment industry, it's rechanging. It's becoming more content oriented. The content people still live here. They don't live in the Bay Area. Okay, I mean,
but you started off with Radford, CBS, and what's happening there?
Because it's a dated model.
And in terms of what?
Well, I mean, listen, the property when it was purchased at about a 3 cap on the investment, sub 3 cap. Okay, I believe it was. I know the broker. So I think they paid a 3 cap. That should have been a 6 cap asset. So right off the bat, that $2 billion should have been $1 billion. Okay, then cap rates move. Now maybe today it's even a 7 cap. So right off the bat, you've lost $1.2 billion just on your own. Now on top of that, a lot of the tenancy has left, but I think it can be reimagined into different kind of stages. I think instead of the big movie companies, they're content providers that need the stages that can be refocused. You're not going to have a studio taking 50 stages. You might have 40 different content providers saying, hey, I need a stage on time on a lot. It's just how do you repackage it? But then an investor looks at, I've got 50 tenants instead of Paramount, and they look at it differently, and the cap rates move. And it's a combination of cap rates have blown out. They're not low. People bought low cap rates. They've probably doubled, maybe even close to tripled in some sense in that industry. So you have that, and you have the providers are cutting down. Netflix is still producing. Netflix is a monster. You have, I think the Paramount merger was actually a key thing for Los Angeles. That Paramount won. I think if Netflix would have won Warner, it would have been bad for LA. I actually think Paramount winning is good because now you're going to have 2 superpowers in LA. And Paramount's going to stay in Paramount, and they're going to have Warner. So they're going to have 2 different operations going. Netflix is now doubling down in Hollywood. And yes, maybe they're going to go to Radford, but I think that's not for the office. That's for the stages.
Have you thought about getting into the studio side of the real estate business?
Yes, but in a different way than you would think. I think some of these studios are too big in their size, and there's a repurposing of studios maybe for other uses. Mm-hmm. So yes, I have. I've looked at studios. Okay, we got a 25-acre studio. Maybe we make it 12 acres, and we could spin off 12 acres and do residential, and that's how you sort of save the asset. I think studios still work. My son has a friend, and his dad has an AI advertising company.
Is this the son who hits bombs in
Exactly,
West LA?
hits bomb. I cleared 3 over the fence this year. And
by the way, you used to send me videos of other things. Now
every
week you send me videos of your son hitting home runs.
Now it's just my kid.
In
proud
coach
father.
pitch.
Yes, coach pitch. Soon to be machine. But so basically, you can make a movie now. This gentleman I know is making a cartoon. And a cartoon that Pixar would make would have 800 people on it and a $200 million budget, okay? He's doing it for a tenth of the budget and about 3 to 4% of the workforce. AI. He still needs a stage, but he doesn't need 6 stages, he needs 1. So I think you might actually see a situation where more content is coming out. Listen, movie theaters, other than Century City, look at the iPic. I used to love the iPic. It's in bankruptcy now, okay? People stream. Nobody goes to movies. I explained this to somebody in office last week, a politician, why movie theaters don't make sense anymore. People don't can't view movies in the movie theaters. They have limited runs and they're straight to streaming. Why are you going to go see a movie? You're going to watch it in the comfort of your house.
Plus, it's very expensive. I mean, but if you take a family of 4 and the popcorn, the candy,
it's $140, $150.
When you can see this movie within 20 days.
Yes, for like $14.
Yeah.
And sit in your house, have a Coke, whatever, make your own popcorn, and you're done. It's 1/10 the price. And so I think again, streaming, AI, it's sort of the modernization of America. It's the repurposing. I think you're going to see more content, more movies. AI is incredible. Look at all these AI videos. I mean, look at the political campaigns.
How about Spencer Pratt?
It's insane.
Well, he's saying he doesn't do them.
Well, whoever is doing it.
Maybe it's Elon.
I mean, whoever's doing it, it's incredible.
They are.
I was at a dinner on Saturday night, and I walked in the restaurant, and who was sitting across from me? Spencer Pratt.
Oh, yeah?
And he was just sitting across from me.
Was he with Heidi?
No, he was with a bunch of people, I think, from his campaign. Okay. And they were just talking, having dinner, and I knew one of the guys that came over and talked. I was like, hey, what's up? And it was very, listen, he was like, I introduced him, whatever. But it was like, it's really the council. And people really obsess on the mayor, and the reflection of Los Angeles is, the mayor's race. It is the city council person. Like San Francisco had its moment. If you had bought San Francisco office 3 years ago, you're a very rich man right now. People were giving
18 months ago.
I would say 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It has turned. It has doubled and tripled.
Well, I went to a Golden State Warriors game earlier this year, and it is night and day. The experience of walking around that facility. You also have this Giants ballpark. You have all of the new office. You've got great retail. And what do we have? We've got graffiti towers across the street from Staples Center.
But I'll tell you a story. 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, I was in San Francisco. I had a partner who had their offices there. And their offices were on Market Street. Mm-hmm. And I used to go to this restaurant when I was a dad called the Tadish Grill. It's a famous restaurant in San Francisco. They're closed on Sundays. They don't take reservations. And they have like an hour wait to get in. So I'm sitting there, and I get to my meeting like an hour and a half early. And I look down the street, and I go, oh, my God, that's Tadish Grill. I go, wow, there's not a line out front. I'm like, it's like 2023.
Yeah.
I walk in, I sit down at the bar. I go, I want my clam chowder, I want this, like I'm at a meeting. I want my little shrimp sandwich and my clam chowder. And I go, where is everybody? And they go, dude, nobody's been here for 2 years. I go, I used to come here with my dad 25 years ago and be an hour wait. And they go, yeah, but COVID and about 2018, things started changing there because San Francisco started decaying before.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so do you think there's a line out the door now?
I bet you it's not out the door because people are still working from home. Because that was in Mark. That was like the heart of the financial district. But I bet you the crowds are back. Yes.
So before we started recording, you said June 2nd is an important date in your life.
June 1st.
Oh, June 1st. That was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
And I know we're not going to do a whole recap on the highs and lows because we did that, and you're very public. But people are going through some tough times. A lot of my clients are going through some tough times. They're losing properties. They're getting foreclosed on. Lenders are being aggressive, pursuing guarantees. Even if it's a non-recourse carve-out guarantee, the lenders are trying to...
They're trying to make it more than it is.
Yes.
Yep.
So June 1st was what?
So 17 years ago, June 1st, I filed personal bankruptcy.
So what year?
2009. The peak of the GFC.
Yeah.
And I was written off for dead and this, and by fighting hard, learning, recapping, I'm meeting somebody after outside your office in like 30 minutes who was the first institutional person to recap me. And they did it, and they sort of knew me the best, and they recapped me, and I've now worked with them for 17 years, and I've probably done over 60, 70 projects with them in the last 17 years.
And so what advice do you have for people who they're not seeing this light at the end of the tunnel? They're just seeing a mountain of debt and still more properties that are underwater, and they're not seeing interest rates coming down to save them. I imagine it was a similar feeling 17 years ago.
It was very tough. I think the first thing is you can't quit. I will say something. I was the chair of the REC, the Jewish Federation.
I was going to get into that next.
But at one of the events, somebody came up to me and said, hey, I've heard what you've talked in the past, and I'd like to sit with you. And I said, sure. And I sat down with this guy, and he was telling me his story, and I sat in my office for an hour and a half. And about 30, 40 minutes, I said, stop. I said, honestly, you're over your head. You've been very out there doing a lot of press your whole career, tweeting, podcasts, tweeting, all this stuff. And you got into stuff and you chased markets and chased stuff, and you might have had a little niche, but you're way over your head. And he goes, what do you? I go, you got to file bankruptcy. And he goes, and I said, you actually probably waited a year longer than you should have. And I said, he goes, well, then I'm ruined this. I go, listen, I don't know what you can and can't do. And I said to him, I go, listen, why don't you come work for me? And I'll give you a chance. And he goes, well, can I come in as a partner? And I go, dude, you need to learn again. You got to reinvent yourself. And he sort of talked to me. A few weeks' time, he talked to me. And about 8 or 12 weeks later, he committed suicide. Mm-hmm. And that really had an effect on me. And I've seen it with a few people. I've seen a few people in the cycle. There's been people in New York. There was another gentleman in Los Angeles I knew who was a very flashy, out there, driving the Rolls Royces, private jets, this. But it was robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I think I learned several things from my failure. One is I'm a big personality, but I try not. I mean, I do your podcast. I get asked to do a lot of stuff. I go, I don't want to do it. But I think you really need to make sure you have your security. You need to make sure your business is structured properly, understand your guarantee exposure. I didn't know what guarantees were. And then in 2009, when Lehman failed, all my bad boys triggered. I went from non-recourse debt to having $650 million recourse overnight. So you got to understand how your guarantees work. And a lot of people, listen, lawyers understand, but people in good times when they're signing up loans don't really understand the downside. So always understand the downside. But I think if you're like folks, you got to fight. It's a war. It's not easy. People always say, oh, I want to be a developer. I go, dude, it is not easy. It's tough. It's taxing on the body. I can think of a lot of easier ways to make money. It can be very rewarding, but it can also be, when it's good, but when it's bad. And it's like, listen, I always say you're going through a storm or you're jet skiing. I'm going to give you the jet ski analogy. And you're riding on a jet ski in the ocean and the wave's crashing over to you. What do? Do you slow up or do you blow through the wave? You blow through the wave. So you got to keep on going. You got to move faster. You got to move harder. You don't back down. And I think a lot of people in their life have, nothing ever I've done has been easy. I think I've had to fight for everything. Yeah, I had an aunt that had money and an uncle, but they didn't give me. They backed me a little, and then I met institutional capital, but I made a lot of mistakes, and I think I always tried to learn from my mistakes. And I'm far from perfect. I'm not even close, but I think the one thing is you got to keep your word. You got to do the right thing, be a stand-up person, and at the end of the day, you got to work hard. And don't throw stuff in people's faces. Just go about your business, get things done. You don't need to brag about it. You don't need to do a real deal story. I mean, that's just bullshit, pardon my French. And I see a lot of younger developers that every time they do something, they want to sit down and do a real deal interview. And it's like, dude, stop it.
For the longest time, by the way, David, that was incredible. And so thank you for being so candid, and you're always so candid. For the longest time, I don't even think you had a website.
I didn't.
You had a Gmail or a Yahoo?
I had a SBC
email. I couldn't. Nobody could even find you.
I have a corporate email now.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
And it is very hard to find you on social media.
I don't want to be on it.
Yeah.
But I saw something. The other day, I called a friend of mine. He's in New York. He's very successful. And I saw him on The Real Deal, 100 Most Important. I go, hey, dude, congrats. You're on The Real Deal. And he goes, dude, you're on it too. And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, you're on it too. And I go, what do you mean I'm on it? He goes, oh, you're on the LA version. I go, I am? I go, they never called me. So everybody in LA had I didn't have a picture. but what they said is, the guy, I think what they say, something he walks into battles. This guy doesn't walk away from a fight or something like that. And then at the end he goes, he went bankrupt in 2009. Okay, it's it's this whole story. And he goes, but he went bankrupt. So exactly, My biggest fear was when I went bankrupt that everybody would associate my bankruptcy. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I actually think it's probably my greatest success. That I went bankrupt and then turned myself. So people that are struggling, I would tell them, dude, it will get better, but you can't quit. You got to fight on through it. And when you fight on through it, you come out on the other side.
And how much more successful are you today? It's not just monetary, but just overall life
Well, I have
success.
a family. I have children.
Today compared...
Listen, my life was entourage.
You were hanging out with Spencer Pratt in 2005.
No, I was hanging out with the cast of Entourage.
Yeah.
There's a funny story.
Literally?
Yeah, I really was. I remember I didn't know you then. I had a big Christmas. I used to have a big Christmas party every year. It was crazy. And one year there was an attorney in LA that came to the party, invites a bunch of people, and he's sitting on my couch, and I have a 3-level house, and it's in my yard. There's like 900 people at my house, and he's sitting on my couch, and it's Bill Maher and like Jeremy Piven and somebody else, and he's like, whoa. He's like, yeah, they're just there. And it's like, my life was like sort of like quasi-entourage. But then when things went bad, all your friends who love you, like the bankers, oh, David, I love you. It's like the bankers I always say are like umbrellas. When it's clear is when you have them, and when it's raining, you can't fucking find them.
Yeah.
So they come and go, but they're not sort of, so you just got to know who your real friends are. It's really good to have 2 or 3 really solid partners that you can deal with. And but I have a lot of partners because I had an exclusive partner, Lehman, that ended very badly. But I think life's a fight. You just got to keep going through it and get better at what you do and specialize. Don't spread out too much. And I think that's what a lot of young people do. They get into 10, 15 different markets. Ooh, I'm syndicating deals like the Tides guys. I mean, it's horrible what happened. It's a horrible story, but like, listen, they just went crazy. But there's a lot of guys like that. I know people that used to work for investors of mine that went on their own, started value add multi, and now they have 8,000 units like in 7, 8 years. And it's like, I don't know how the story is, but I can't, it's a lot of Southwestern and Midwest.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Southwest and Sky states, like a Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be good. And so people get caught up in it. Just know your markets.
So final question, final discussion point. We're approaching an hour here, and I want to be respectful for your time.
I'll keep going, man.
You're very philanthropically involved, and you were the head of the Jewish Federation Real Estate Cabinet for 3 years. Wow, they
let me do it for 3 years.
An extra year.
Yes.
I guess just talk about sort of the state of, being Jewish in the city and anti-Semitism, and it's something, I grew up here.
I grew up in Fresno. I grew up in a little. So actually, I grew up with anti-Semitism. So because
I never really experienced it.
No, you were like
Beverly Hills,
Beverly High. I mean, because I remember when I grew up in Fresno, California. 2,000 people in my school, like 3 Jews, and I remember when I went to college. And I pledged fraternity at USC, and I eventually pledged a quasi 70% Jewish house, and half of my pledge brothers, or a third of them, were from Beverly High.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this one. I'm like, guys, I've never been around this. And it was funny because they used to all call me the Hick. I had an IROC Z28 Camaro.
Yeah.
I used to be in really good shape. I wear tank tops and these crazy iguana go-go shorts.
We got to get pictures of this.
Yeah, I have some. And I'd wear tank tops and drive in my Camaro. And I was like the farthest thing from like a West LA.
And this is when you were trying to pick up on my sister.
No, I knew all like this. My friend did, not me. But no, your sister, I went to SC with your sister, yes. No, but I think it was always in my life. It disappeared. My mom, who's 96 years old, always tells me in bad times people blame the Jews. And it's very sad because I see all the problems in the world are now because of 0.2% of the population. I mean, it's really, I think a lot of it has to do with social media, TikTok, Instagram, influencers. There's a lot of what I call dark money in the space that's like changing the message. But we went on October 7th from where everybody, I think, felt bad for us to like the next day. Once we defended ourselves, we were the bad guy. We were the genocider. We were this. And dude, how can 0.2% of the world where they're surrounded by 1.5 billion people that hate them be the genocidal nation. That's a joke. You know, if Israel stops fighting, they die. If the other countries stop fighting, they have peace. Okay? Anti-Semitism is bad. It to me is, I mean, I'll tell you something to the camera. I'm a lifelong registered Democrat. How's that for surprise? But I don't even know what this party is anymore because I see the future of that party and people like they weaponize AIPAC. I don't take AIPAC money. See all this like, dude, if you look at Qatar, you look at the influence of Qatar in the world versus those, it's, come on. I mean, you have people like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly who used to be like one way, who are now basically, I'm surprised they're not like praying 5 times a day on a rug. I mean, they've gone crazy. And by the way, I'm not saying anything bad about Islam. I have no issues with Islam. I have, my trainer is Islamic from Iran. He is the strongest supporter of Israel you've ever met in your life. He's married to a Jew, okay?
This sounds like a Curb Your Enthusiasm
No, my
episode.
tennis coach, well, I have a lot of those too, but my tennis coach, I played tennis with this guy. My tennis coach, I remember right after October 7th, he's a Muslim guy from Morocco, very nice guy. He said, hey, you know, I don't condone that. That was horrible what happened. I mean, I condone what happened. I hope I get, you seen, we're all good, dude. I know you're not that way. I've known you for this. I don't judge you based on your religion. I judge you based on the person you are. And we don't judge anybody based on the people we are. If you want to get rid of the Jews, then you would have no medicine, Nobel Prizes. I mean, look at the whole impact on the world of our people. And I think a lot of it has to do with just jealousy. I really do. I mean, and it's like, listen, there's no conspiracy, there's this. I think when you are always having to prove yourself and people are trying to knock you down, it makes you work harder. And I think that's a lot of the reason why Jewish people appear to be more successful. They're not given as much. They've had to work harder. They've had barriers, and they've broken through the barriers through education. And that's what a lot, I think, groups don't look at education as the way to break through the barriers. Everything starts with education. This country is equal. Everybody has the same opportunities. And it's an amazing country. And I love this country. But anti-Semitism, I think, is really big. It's the far right. And it's a lot of the left.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
It's on both sides.
It's both sides. But it's more one than the other, I think, now.
Well,
which it used not to be.
Based on that, I think, I hope there is politics in David Schwartzman's future, not just from
my wife would never let
the
me.
Contribution side.
My wife would never let me.
Start with Beverly Hills City Council.
No, I don't want to do that. No. Go big or go home. No.
Yeah.
But no. Listen, it's, I mean.
Final word. We're approaching an hour. So I guess just final takeaway on our celebrating our 100th episode of the Kirsch Connection. What do you want the final takeaway for my audience?
Listen, I think you're an interesting profession in real estate. It's a tough business. In great times, it's amazing, but now you're in like rough cycling. I think it is going to get better, but you gotta push on through and don't quit and reinvent yourself. There's always opportunities out there. And in failure, there can be success. Maybe this deal doesn't work. Maybe you got to figure out a way to recapitalize it. There's always opportunities. You just got to know when to spot it.
Well, I'll tell you, David, I loved having the first episode, the 100th episode.
We'll do the 1,000th.
I was going to say, how about just 200? 1,000,
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to get to.
I can do 200.
200.
You'll book it.
You're always there for me.
Absolutely.
Post fires, I would say nobody probably called me more than you just to check in. No agenda. Always.
I didn't want to buy your lots in the Alphabet Streets. I'm actually buying a deal in the Palisades now.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about
Another
that.
time.
How about the 200th episode? We'll do it in the Palisades, and we'll see.
We'll do it on the development we're doing.
That's great, David.
Awesome.
Best of luck
Thank
for
you,
everything.
Andrew.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. You're the man. And this guy's amazing. I've known you. I met you 2013 at Obika or 2012. I don't remember here. Obika. Remember I don't even know if it's even there anymore.
It's not.
It's not. Yeah.
No.
It was a cheese bar, wasn't it?
Yes,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
It was a cheese bar.
Yeah.
For a title rep's matzo ball.
Yes.
For her mixer she had.
Yeah.
And I met Andrew and I heard his last name and was like, oh my God, and become friends and you've done great. And I've watched you. I mean, their firm has taken off. And I think you're a testament to hard work too, because you started Sklar Kirsch, 8 years ago?
No,
years
at
ago?
that time, 2012,
Was it that
2013.
early? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because you were still at the other firm.
Yeah.
I think when I met you, you were still at and you started, and look what you've done in like 13 years. And I mean, it's incredible. And it's again, have a good name, treat people right, and provide a good service. And I think you can be successful. And I think you really epitomize sort of what I've tried to tell people as well.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on again for the sequel. This is like the Godfather 1 and 2. Godfather 3 wasn't as good, but we'll make sure that
Andy Garcia for Godfather 3.
Yeah, for sure. All right. That is another episode of The Kirsch Connection.